Are you curious about the market, wondering if it's a good time to buy? Well, you're in the right place because we're going to look at some stats from the buyer's perspective. We're going to start out in Texas, so taking more of a 30,000 foot view of the market. And I will start out in the upper left. Median price is actually down almost 1% from at 332,000. Market share is at 27.3%. Falling within that 200 to just under $300,000. I really want to draw your attention to the active listings on this area because it's showing that it's up nearly 20%. And what that means for buyers is that's even more selection. Closed sales are up just less than 1%, and days on market is 7 days this time last year. So up to a total of 103 months of inventory, about 5.5. In most scales, when we look at months of inventory, we're kind of looking at 6 months. And so in some scales, it'll be, oh, that's more of a neutral market. In some, they'll consider 6 months leading into a seller's market. But in my view, it's more of a neutral market. All right, let's move on and look at the DFW Metroplex next. But before we do that, just want to let you know that I'm a realtor. I've been in business for 15 years, and I love diving into the numbers, so you don't have to. All right, let's get on to the DFW Metroplex. Really want to draw your attention to the median price. Remember, median is middle, so that means that half is below this 385 number and half is above. And so that median price is actually down. So that means in the Metroplex overall, things are actually becoming a little bit more affordable compared to the same time last year. Market share is about over 25%, 27.1 is in the 300 to just under 400,000 price point. Active listings, not quite as much as the overall state, but up 16.3%, so more for you. Closed sales up 0.2, days on market, a little less than overall 95, and months of inventory not quite as much as Texas at 4.5. If you want to see one of the best areas in the Metroplex to buy, most affordable, stick around to the end because we'll reveal that then. Next, we're looking at Collin County, and in Collin County, I'm going to have you look at two things. One is the median price. You can see that it's pretty high, right? 445 as compared to what we've seen overall, one of our higher areas, but it is down 8.9%, almost 9% compared to this time last year. So it's becoming a little more affordable. And also active listings, 36.7% up. And so just even more selection for you buyers. Market shares at 27%, falls in the 500 to 750. So definitely a higher price point in Collin County. Closed sales is 8.3%. Days on market under 100 at a total from 94, and months of inventory 4.5. If you got questions on any of the numbers or you're interested in seeing information from a different county, put that in the comments below. All right, now we're moving on to Dallas County, and we've got median price of $368,325, up almost 1% compared to this time last year. Really want to draw your attention to market share, 25.3, so more than 1 out of every 4 houses falls in the $200,000 to just under $300,000 price range. Active listings, we've got those up, so more selection in Dallas County. And closed sales are up, but just a tad under 0.5%. Notice the days on market is a little less in Dallas County than some of the other areas we've looked at. And months of inventory is on the lower end at 4.7. And what that months of inventory really means is how many months of everything that's on the market, how many months of supply are there? Now let's look at Rockwall County. This is my bread and butter, really the focus area of where I work. We've got median price in the 420 range, actually down 2.2% market share. It's a little bit higher, but not so high as Collin County. We've got over 28% in the $300,000 to just under $400,000 price range. Active listing, there's your buyer selection, is up 22. Sales are actually down, so could be a really good time to buy in Rockwall. The days on market is 118, one of the higher ones we've seen so far, but I really want to draw your attention to the months of inventory. First one that we're seeing over 6. What that means for you as a buyer is it's really a very neutral market. It's not so much weighted towards the seller, and it's not really so much weighted towards you. For the right property, you could have some great negotiating power. All right, let's move on to Kaufman County, where you see the median price is at $320,000, actually up a little bit, and market share is a very almost 40% rounded up. It falls into the $200,000 to just under $300,000 price range. Listings not quite up as much as some of our other areas so far, but still a good bit and some decent selection for our buyers. Closed sales are down, so sellers that have had their properties on the market might be willing to make a deal. Days on market, that's what I really want to draw your attention to in Kaufman County, and it kind of feeds into the decrease in closed sales. This is the highest number of everywhere we've looked at so far, and probably that we'll look at today is 123 days on market. And so that gives you a good gauge. So if you're looking in Kaufman County and you're like, oh, it's been on the market for 60 days, they may not quite be at the point where they're anxious, but they may. If it's over 120 days, you know that they might be getting anxious. Months of inventory is 5.3 compared to this time last year. All right, and now the area that you've been looking for, that's Hunt County. And Hunt County has towns such as Greenville, Caddo Mills, Lone Oak, some nice areas if you're looking to kind of spread out. So if you're in the Metroplex and maybe commuting's not an issue for you, or you don't mind a little bit of a drive to get into the city, Hunt County could be the most affordable place you could find. So let's dive in and take a look at why. So median price, $285,000. It is up a little bit compared to October 2024, which is a good sign. At least you know that your property values are heading up. Market share, it's the first one that we see that's over 40%, falls in that $200,000 to $300,000 price point. And like we said, half of them are below $285,000 even. The active listings are up, so we've got a little bit more selection than previous. Closed sales are down quite a bit. Really could feed into your negotiating with the seller. Days on market, not quite as high as we saw in Kaufman County, but still pretty high at 116. And months of inventory, more than 6 months. It's leaning more to the favor of a buyer. So Hunt County, that's my pick for the most affordable, and the place that if it makes sense for you, you can find a great buy. You should be taking a look at this video that simplifies the home buying process. If you haven't seen that, talk to you soon.